Hey, I'm Mark,
And I'm Craig.
and this is Songwriters Tales. Craig, who do we have coming on today?
Man, we have got somebody that you are not going to want to miss. I have a publisher in Los Angeles that has been working with my catalog for a couple of years now. And this guy is a who's who, not just in LA, but also in Nashville. He is a songwriter turned publisher. And he's written songs with Garth Brooks. He's done work with Kenny Rogers. Oh, gosh, Tammy Wynette, Don Williams, Joe Diffie, the Oak Ridge Boys. This guy knows everybody and anybody in Nashville. Going to be a great show, Mark.
And what's his name?
His name is Rex Benson.
Cool. Let's do it.
You first of all, you love what you do. You are as a songwriter, you love the creation of a song. Because you and I have talked enough, and I can tell. I get the same vibe. Is that when you're just putting the song together, that's part of the love of it. It's not just getting the song and then loving the song. It's actually doing the song. But you also love pitching songs and calling people and talking to people. I mean, that's, and establishing it. And that's the beauty of that. That's one of the things that jumped out at me about you. You are passionate about what you do. And the people that we hope are listening to our podcast, Rex, we're hoping that there's, of course, professionals, songwriters, musicians that are trying to get somewhere, but also just people who have never even who know nothing about music. They're just doing it because they're interested in the business, and well, how does that work? Who was it on that we asked? We asked Pat Buchanan the other night because he's been a producer as well. He's a producer, and we asked him, would you just explain what a producer is? And so we're just trying to, with our show and our format, just open it up. We want to encourage people also. This is the other side of it. We want to encourage songwriters or artists to, now that story that you told might not be very encouraging because I think that's really rare that your spark started a fire as quickly as it did. Because here Mark and I are 30 years down the road. Ours didn't quite work out like that. We still love it, but it doesn't always happen like that, and probably more often than not, it doesn't. But I think the story there, the lesson there is don't give up. I mean, that sounds trite and that sounds common, but that is it. Don't give up, because if it's a great song, it's going to find a home if you just keep it going. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, I would agree with that. I believe in the power of the song. I believe that songs make artists and not the other way around. I think Lucille made Kenny Rogers and not the other way around. I think the dance made Garth Brooks.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the other way around. I think Here in the Real World made Alan Jackson and not the other way around.
Absolutely.
So I believe in 100 years from now, people may have forgotten Paul McCartney's name, but we're still going to be humming Michelle because
we will.
songs live their own lives. They're still going to, they live their own lives.
Yeah,
exactly.
So I think it's really important to focus on the song. Okay. Not only for songwriters, I wish more of the industry would focus on the song. Nowadays, with technology and what have you, sometimes we get ahead of ourselves, and we've got Pro Tools, and now we've got Suno and AI, and we've got all these ways to make recordings. You got to have a song first. Otherwise, you get too much frosting and not enough cake is what you get. Yeah. You get a hollow thing, But melody and lyric, which is the definition of a song, it's really integral to whether or not this thing really matters. And I don't mean being a hit. I mean lasts. I mean changes lives. Because that's what I signed up for as a writer. It wasn't about fame or fortune or money.
Yeah.
It was about, can I do something that talks to people, And I think real artistry, I think that's what that real artistry is about, is trying to change society, trying to change history. trying to change people's lives. So I wish sometimes that songwriters would take a step back. Honestly, I really respect Craig for this, because I feel like most writers who come to me, and forgive me up front for this, is going to sound a little crass, but I think they want one of a few things. They want me to help them get rich, get famous, or get laid. And I always tell them, guys, I can help you with that. It's called teaching you how to write a good song. And then all those other things can be byproducts of that success. But you got to write well first. So even though I stopped writing after 24 years, and the reason I did was because the format style was changing so much. And, I'd written songs for real traditional artists, Don Williams and Tammy Wynette and Joe Diffie and people like that. I like that kind of stuff. That's what I like to write. Now it's getting more, more modern, contemporary sounding. Wasn't really what I did, but I thought, I've got enough of a network here that if I can identify some good songs and get a few writers to put their faith in me, then I can plug their work into my network. And that's what I started doing. And that's why I went. But as Craig has mentioned, even though I no longer take any song credit because I don't feel like I write songs, I am always a sounding board for the writers I work with. And that kind of itches my creative, part, makes me feel like, okay, I'm still being creative here, but I'm not taking any songwriter credit. But really, I'm acting like a co-writer in a way.
Yeah, I see that. I see that. What did you have something to say, Mark? I saw
Well,
you.
I was just going to ask, so how do you discover new songs? Or, I mean, I know you work with a lot of writers. How does a publisher like yourself and your contemporaries, how do they discover new songwriters? Or not necessarily new songwriters, but new songwriters to them, new songs. How does that happen?
Well, for me, originally, when I went full-time into publishing in 95, I was still working some of the catalog of songs I'd written. And then as I met a writer here or there, I was signing a song here or there, and usually with reversions and so on. But in 95, I got a call one day from Garth Fundis, who's one of my oldest Nashville friends. And he said he had been approached by an LA-based independent A&R company. I'd never heard of this concept. And he said they had asked him for help if he could refer someone to them in the LA area who was Nashville credible. And I guess Garth thought I was Nashville credible, so he asked me if I would go talk to this company. So I went and talked to them, and I asked them what they need, and they said, well, we have thousands of subscribing songwriter members who pay a yearly fee and a submission fee for any song they submit. And a lot of them write country music, but we don't really have anybody here in Southern California that really knows the Nashville labels and can really open up the Nashville labels for us. And they asked us if I could do that. And I said, well, yeah, I work with all the Nashville labels and I could do that. And I made an agreement that we would do that. But I said, here's the thing. I will set this up with every Nashville label, but nothing gets forwarded unless it has my personal stamp of approval, because it has my reputation's on the line, because I had gone to Sony or RCA, what it was called at the time, and Warner and MCA and so on, and set this up. So they agreed, and in came the songs. Thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of song submissions. I listened to more songs. I was only going in there 2 mornings a week while still running my catalog full time. In 4 years, I heard 72,000 songs there.
Oh, God.
Okay. That equates to 1,500 songs a month for 4 years. That's more than any Nashville A&R department as a whole heard. So I was hearing, just to give you an idea of how many songs are out there and how writers are trying to find a conduit. Well, each year this company would do a song conference. It was free to their members. They could come in. They'd bring industry guests in to talk. These members could come. They came from all over the world. Wherever they lived, they came, and they would meet people in the industry, and they'd meet other writers. And I'm sure later on NSAI or other organizations may have had similar events. But this was kind of a once a year thing. And each year they'd ask me to be on a panel and talk about this or that. So the fourth year, and by now I've heard a few songs there. By the fourth year, the vice president of the company comes to me and says, Rex, we know you've heard more songs than any human should ever have to hear. Is there even one song that you've heard that you think has a legit shot at getting cut in Nashville? Because, I would, give it my stamp of approval and send it off to the label, but then it was up to the label whether they liked it or not. And so far, none of them had said, hey, we're jumping up and down on this. So I said to the guy, yeah, there is one song. It's come in like 3 times. And each time I forwarded it on because I recognize this is a really good song. And he says, well, if it comes in again, would you mind grabbing it, bringing it to the conference, playing it for the audience, and tell them why you think it's a legit contender? And maybe that'll give them, some guidance in their writing or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, so it comes in again. And the song is called Little Things. And so it comes to my part, and I'm talking to the crowd. And I explained to them that I had been asked if there was even one song that I thought was a legit contender. And they said to me, and I said to them, there is this song. And here's where I said the stupidest thing that any human ever said in a room full of people. 800 seriously aspiring songwriters from London, New York, Toronto, Vancouver, Nashville, Texas, Chicago, Los Angeles. These people have spent thousands of dollars to fly into LA to get, round trip. They got to pay for the flight. They got to pay for their stay. They got to pay for their food. It's, it's a trip, but they're serious about I said to them, and I've been reminded many times that I said this, and I am ashamed that I said this. I said, I guarantee you this song will get cut in Nashville. Stupidest thing anybody ever said. So I play the song for the crowd, and the crowd gives a big standing ovation afterwards, and I'm getting down off the desk, and these 2 guys come running up to me. Rex, that's our song. Would you sign it to your publishing company? And I said, yeah, I will. But I'd like to change the title to Buy Me a Rose. And I signed that song. And of course, I had a very long-standing relationship already with Kenny Rogers. And I mailed that song to Kenny Rogers' home. And he cut it in what became arguably the greatest comeback in country music history on his own indie label at almost 62 years of age, without having had a number 1 in 14 years. Without 5 reporting stations playing it. What that means is the competition had all 150 stations, but he got more out of 145 stations because the other 5 thought he was history. They weren't going to add his record anymore. They thought he was done. And that came out of nowhere.
Wow.
That taught me that great songs exist anywhere, that there is talent out there that we can't even imagine, that we take every song seriously. So to answer your question, how do I find songs? I don't look for songs. I don't know how people find me. They find me. And I get songs. I listen to every song that's submitted to me. I respond to everybody that submits a song to me. I think that's the right thing to do. And I would be stupid to not do that. Because I never know. And even if they don't have a song for me, I try to encourage them because I don't know where they're going to be in their career in next year or 2 years or 5 years.
Right.
Maybe they'll give me the dance in 5 years. It's about building a dialogue, and it's about nurturing a spark and trying to get that to grow.